god! It has no boobas.
Man, this bitch thinks she's millennia. Nah, you wish.
Bro, that move is so annoying. The pattern.
Wait, what's her name? Romania. Is it Romania?
Welcome back everyone. In this video series we're taking a look at how many times some of our favorite streamers died to the bosses found in the Elden Ring DLC. So far, the 15 of them have defeated the Lion, Rolana and Mesmer. Today we'll take a look at how they performed against Romina. We usually focus on streamers individually, but for the sake of conciseness, let's group some of them based on their number of deaths. As you can see, Miss Mika, Emiru and Asmongold beat her on their first attempt. All three of them for different reasons, I would say. Despite only having 7 blessings, Asmongold was still using his fingerprint shield build, and it seemed quite efficient at blocking all of her moves. Emiru, on the other hand, had 15 blessings and played the fight extremely well by hugging the boss and dodging most moves. She only had to drink 5 flasks before Romina went down.
Yippee, first try.
And then we have Mika, who was on 0 blessings. Because of her bleed and frost procs, she was still dealing decent damage to the boss, and her weapon staggered quite often. She was unsurprisingly also really clean with her dodges, and Romina was no more.
First try, let's go!
Now we have 5 people who only died once to Romina. These were Kaisenat, Shroud, Distortion 2, Lyric and Elias. They had between 10 and 16 fragments, and honestly their performances were about as clean as the people who didn't die. All of them quickly realized that Romina takes a lot of damage, doesn't deal too much, and misses a lot when you stay close to her. The longest final fight out of all of them was Ella's, as he had no way to proc bleed or frost with his current build, really highlighting the efficiency of these status effects against bosses. Then we have Kadro, Bijou, XQC, Folsen and 39 Death, who all died less than 10 times. They had between 8 and 16 fragments, and even though they got caught by a few attacks here and there, which resulted in them dying a few times, none of them really had to go out of their way to learn the boss. In the end, they were all quite surprised she was a main remembrance boss.
Yes, get out of here. Saint of the Bud. Easy for the God Gamer.
I think more insight can be gained from the people who actually died quite a bit to Romina, and these were Ludwig and Point Crow. They respectively had 10 and 9 blessings at the time of the fight, and died about 20 times to her. Let's focus on Ludwig first. By watching his fights against Romina, I realized that his biggest flaw is instantly healing after getting hit. Just like reloading right after a kill in Valorant, this can become muscle memory, but most of the time results in getting hit, as the time it takes to recover from the stagger and then drink a flask can be too long if the boss directly starts another move. Another problem was that he kept rolling out, and since Romina has a lot of long range or gap closer moves, she just caught up with him before he was able to recover. From his graph we can see that he just needed to lock in and actually fight the boss up close to win. In the end, it's quite ironic that he's the only one with a heart rate monitor, because he's probably the only one that had his heart rate going up while fighting this boss.
If you want to be so fucking clingy, I'll never leave your side! I love you! I love you. I'll never leave your side. We'll be together forever. We can wear each other's skin.
Point Crow, on the other hand, quickly realized that he had to hug the boss in order to make it easier. Unfortunately, there was one specific attack, the 5-hit combo, that just kept catching him off guard, and he struggled to find a consistent way to survive it. Him only having 8 blessings and being in New Game Plus didn't help, and he was one of the people taking the most damage from the boss. I feel like he had a much more standard experience with this boss than the other people here. He had to slowly learn her moves and recognize troublesome patterns to slowly do better and better. It makes me wonder if maybe Romina would have benefited from having more HP, poise, or maybe be more resistant to bleed and frost. I guess the problem is that some people might get to her with very low blessings, while others might have most of them already, so she must be quite hard to balance. During his later fights, it was clear that Point Crow had the boss downloaded, and so after dying 23 times, he finally emerged victorious.
Woo! Locked in, locked and loaded! Remembrance of the Saint of the Bud. That dude, fastest boss fight.
And that's it for Romina. Quite underwhelming, isn't it? For a mandatory remembrance boss, she ended up being quite weak, and honestly not too troublesome to defeat. She has less health than Mesmer, even though most people will have more blessings by the time they actually go through with facing her. She also has longer openings, and her stance breaks more easily, meaning most fights end quite quickly. She does have a few moves to look out for, like the grab that can deal enormous damage, or the jump double spin that can surprise people. There's also this 5-hit combo that is quite difficult to dodge, especially at mid-range. Unfortunately, it's the same for most of her moves. Staying in close range will make the fight much easier, lead to more stance breaks, and snowball from there. Now I felt a bit bad dedicating an entire video to Romina as she didn't really rack up a lot of kills. So I've decided to include another optional boss for you to enjoy watching some of your favorite streamers die on. Let's take a look at how they did against the Putrescent Knight. The Putrescent Knight is an optional boss encountered all the way south of the Shadow of the Erdtree map, and that means people reached him at very different times during their playthroughs. Alright, I'm guessing I need to start by addressing the elephant in the room, and it's the fact that both Kadril and Fulson just never made it to this boss. Unless I'm mistaken, they finished the DLC without ever stepping foot in the Cerulean coast. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Distortion 2, who beat the boss on his first attempt using the Sunflower weapon from the DLC. Asmongold was still rocking a shield-heavy build, but Elias actually used the Smith Script Great Hammer, and it was rather fun to see it in action. He tried to land throws often, but it seemed fairly difficult, especially when fully charging the heavy attack. Lyric, XQC, Emiru, and Shroud all died around 10 times, and XQC in particular was dealing an unbelievably high amount of damage due to him having 16 blessings. He was dealing so much damage that his winning attempt lasted about 25 seconds, and the boss didn't even get to transition to phase 2.
Woo! Without phasing! Boom! Without phasing, it's insane!
Lyric, on the other hand, only had 10 blessings, and was in New Game Plus, so he was taking a significant amount of damage from the boss's various moves. He also got scammed very hard on one attempt.
What?
Shroud and Emiru's performances were once again similar, as they both had the same number of blessings, the same weapon, and died 10 and 11 times. The only difference is that Shroud had a little problem when trying to get to the boss.
What?
With even more deaths, we have Mika, Point Crow, and Kaisenat. Mika was still rocking it with 0 blessings, and that meant that her damage was quite low, and fights lasted longer than for others. She struggled a bit to learn how to dodge the horse combo, and that means the Putrescent Knight was the boss she died on the most during her playthrough. Well, so far. Point Crow had 8 blessings, and once again was in New Game Plus. So the double smash, for example, that the Putrescent Knight does after the triple swipes would deal tremendous amount of damage to him, especially if he tried to punish too early with a jump attack, as you take even more damage if you get hit during one. After 27 deaths, the fight ended in a draw between him and the boss.
Oh, wait, I did it! I didn't do it! I did it! I didn't do it!
Kai died 32 times and ended up beating the boss on the first try once one of his friends entered the room to watch him, proving once more that friendship is magic. Or that no matter what you're trying to show someone on your computer, just won't happen once they're actually watching. And now the 3 people who died the most: 39 Death, Ludwig, and Bijou. Death had 12 blessings and died 37 times. She was using Mesmer Spear with a questionable sense of fashion. She did rather well on the knight's basic moves, but the transitional Firestorm in particular eluded her for a while. She also died a few times from the cutest debuff I've ever seen anyone have.
Oh god. Dude, he's... I closed the door on him.
She had to resort to extreme measures, but a few tries afterwards, she emerged victorious.
Oh, he died. Jesus. Oh, shit! Oh.
Ludwig had the lowest amount of blessings, excluding Mika, with only 5. It took him way longer than other people to figure out how to dodge the horse combo, for example, but I guess it is harder to learn a multi-hit attack when making a single mistake could potentially kill you immediately. He was using Rilana's twin blades at first, and was hellbent on spamming the Ash of War, resulting in him dying mid-animation many times. Eventually he went to sleep and switched to dual-wielding great katanas the next day. After 40 total deaths, he finally beat the Putrescent Knight.
Let's go!
And finally we have Bijou, who had 9 blessings at the time of the fight. She died quite often to the triple swipe, mostly because the Putrescent Knight can sometimes swing faster on the second or third hit, and rolls can be hard to time properly. After 52 deaths though, her final fight was one of the cleanest out of anyone here, with her only having to heal twice.
Hi. Yay! Legend fell! That was good.
And that's it for the Putrescent Knight. 257 deaths shared across 13 streamers. The boss doesn't have too many different moves when compared to main bosses like Mesmer or the Lion, but some of them seem to be good at catching people off guard. I'd say his main attack and the most important one to learn how to dodge properly is the horse combo, as he tends to do it multiple times per fight and it can be overwhelming if you get hit and need to heal halfway through. One thing I've noticed, and if anyone could tell me why this happens, is that the Putrescent Knight sometimes damages itself after people die. It might be something to do with his fire attack, and it can deal a lot of damage, so it makes me wonder if it's possible to get him to just kill himself by dying when he's quite low. Could be a fun challenge. Actually, this is me from the future editing this video, and I've just noticed that Romina also hurts herself with her transitional butterfly storm attack in some cases. So I guess you could technically have both of these bosses just slowly kill themselves in phase 2, unless they somehow fix this since the release of the DLC. Let's now look at our updated leaderboard with Romina's deaths added to it. Not much has changed, since no one really died much to her. I didn't include the Putrescent Knight in the leaderboard as some people didn't fight him, and it wouldn't be fair for others. I know this video was a bit more surface level than the other ones in this series, but I hope you enjoyed the data anyway, and we'll be back to the usual structure next time, as we'll take a look at how they did it against Leda and her allies. If you want to check out the more in-depth boss analysis, you can click somewhere around here. And as usual, thank you for watching, and see you next time.